Thank you,
All
Jason.
right. Well, welcome everybody. We're going to kind of talk through what to do after graduation. I'll explain our process here. Typically, we do this in person at tables. You get a time to talk and ask a lot of questions individually and go through your specific scenario. With the times we're in, we're going to focus it on this way. So just to give you guys a little background of the Dental Network Group and myself. So my name is Jason Kodria. I'm a financial advisor, and I just basically help dental students and dentists with their money situations. So back in the early 2000s, I was doing a lot of talks at the dental school, particularly at Ohio State. And after a while, found out that a lot of people were not hearing about business. And so I relied on a couple other key business resources that I have. And we got together and did a couple talks together. And eventually, Ryan Childress, who's a mortgage banker, and myself, we decided we needed to create a group that we can have resources for everything. So back in 2006, the Dental Network Group officially began with the first real true Dental Network Group event. Since then, there have been well over 150 events between dental schools, fraternities, different societies, professional groups, local study clubs, and so on. So we're here to help everybody. Our goal is each person has their own profession, and they focus in on that. So today we're going to kind of talk about what to do after graduation, sort of how to start transitioning into a new practice potentially if that's where you're going to. There's a lot of different roles both on the personal as well as the business side. And luckily we have groups in our group membership right now. We have most of our members here on this call, so we're going to be able to share a lot of different ideas from the short and long term, from your personal as well as your business side. So one of the big things that people have to do is they think about where do you want to open up a practice? What is your goal? What is your dream? How do you want to make that happen? So location ends up being one of the first things that we discuss, in location and bank funding. And we have somebody that has knowledge on both sides of that. So I'm going to send things over to Mike Zoller with Carr Healthcare Realty, and he's going to kind of take us through that first step. And we'll transition in between a couple of different professionals and just walk through that process for you to make things a little bit easier. And then at the end, you guys can stop and ask any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate it. Mike Zoller with Carr Healthcare Realty. I'm here in Columbus, Ohio. We are nationwide. We are a boutique real estate group who assists dentists across the country with evaluating their lease or real estate purchase situation, whether you are looking to start a practice from scratch, whether you are looking to purchase a practice, but there is a lease involved, there is an upcoming mortgage payment involved. We find it to be very important because your lease payment or your mortgage payment is typically the second highest expense in your practice. So it's something that you can have a lot of control over as you enter into a situation, whether you're leasing your first space or you've bought a practice and you want to evaluate if that rent is at fair market or not, to where you could potentially renegotiate it. A very large takeaway from our piece is doing demographics up front. So when you go to start a practice, it's very important to be in the best market possible for what you're looking to do, for the type of patient that you are looking to build in your practice. Also, it is key to be involved with the correct lending partners and some of that team, which we're going to talk through next year. So demographics, team, and lending really are key. And you have representation. So legal representation and some sort of brokerage representation. We never work for landlords and sellers, which is the largest takeaway that I wanted to get to. It is important to work for people who are only working on your behalf and they don't have a conflict of interest. They don't own the building that you're going into, things like that. In regards to financing, and I've got several years of dental lending experience. Rates are at historic lows right now. We're seeing a lot of activity right now, which has been really good, especially because we're hopefully at the tail end of a pandemic. But it's critical to have the right lending partner, a dental specific lending partner. Your startup dental loan is a relatively easier small business loan to obtain as long as you're doing the right things and you're working with a Jason, and he's teaching you what to have in savings, to maybe have a job working a day or two outside of the practice that you're starting, and to keep your credit strong. But there are lenders, very specific lenders, who understand your business, who know that you are a less than 1% default rate, and you can tell from their loan structures that they understand it and they can make it very easy on you. So it's important to be teamed up with those folks as well. Thank you very much for having me. I'm going to hand it off to Mia over at Team DDS. It's a partner that we work with a lot, the largest dental builder that I know of. And we tend to go from my piece when finding the right location over to Team DDS to do the design, to work on construction costs, and just kind of work through that process. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. First, I want to thank all of you for being here today, and a big thank you to the Dental Networking Group for organizing this event. My name is Mia Torres, and I'm a project coordinator for Team DDS. No, we're not a team of dentists. We are a design build firm that specialize in dental office construction and have been doing so for over 30 years in and around Columbus. Now, I know it's probably not the time that you'll be thinking about it, but eventually the ultimate goal is to someday own your own practice, and that's where we come in. Whether you're, you find a location in an existing space, or you want to take over the practice that you're in, or you want to start from a ground up, we will make that space yours. Team DDS stands for a team of detail-driven specialists, and because dental environments are one of the most complicated construction projects, it is all in the details. When you call us, we're going to come out to your space, and we are going to bring our team. That's going to include sales and project managers to evaluate the space, make sure there's no existing conditions to be aware of, licensed plumbers to specialize in medical gas, vac, and air systems, licensed electricians that install medical grade wiring where it's needed, verify that all electrical devices are up to code, and designers to understand what you want out of your space. These details are not found in any other construction firm, and that's what sets us apart. We also have a custom cabinetry facility in our headquarters in Canal, Winchester, that will make your office and treatment room furniture unique to you and fit anywhere. And lastly, we are best known for our relationship and satisfaction that we create with you, and the trust that we will always be there even after the office is complete. That, in a Buckeye nutshell, is Team DDS. A big OH to all of you. Enjoy your accomplishments on May 9th, thankfully in the stadium, and being a graduate of one of the greatest institutions in the universe, the Ohio State University. And when you're ready, Team DDS and all of us here at the Dental Networking Group will be there to help you open and maintain a beautiful and successful dental practice. Thanks. And now I want to introduce Chad Henke from the Thomas Law Group.
Thanks, Mia. Good afternoon, everyone. As Mia said, my name is Chad Henke. I'm one of the attorneys and partners at the Thomas Law Group. We are a small firm focused on representing healthcare practitioners. We are physically located in Dublin, Ohio, but our clients are all over the state by and large. We do, within that healthcare practitioners, we represent a lot of dentists, and probably over the course of all of our careers here, represented hundreds of dentists. My business partner, Cheryl DeVore, used to teach and be in administration at the OSU College of Dentistry. Our founding partner, Terry Thomas, who's retired, used to be a dentist and is an alumni of the College of Dentistry at Ohio State. So we have always practiced in this area and have a great deal of depth in the dental community to meet any dental practices and individual dentists' legal needs. That being said, well, we can always take, I would say we can take a dentist from the day they graduate dental school to the day they retire and all points in between, which is very true. But your primary concern is, particularly if you're going into private practice, what job do I have and what's my employment contract going to look like? You're going to be given a written employment contract. So already you're different than how most people work, and you should have an attorney review that contract, and an attorney who is at least familiar with healthcare and in particular dentistry, so that you're not going to a patent attorney to review a dental associate contract. We can do that. I've been doing a lot of that already this spring and will continue to do so as people get job offers, and I'm happy to do that. My goal is to make sure you understand the contract so that you go into private practice fully understanding what your obligations are and what your employer's obligations are to you. In the past, when we do this dinner in person, I usually get a lot of questions about, can they do this, can they do that? And I'm happy to field those at the end of this meeting. And beyond your first position out of school, we can help when you want to transition to start your own practice, buy into a practice, buy a practice. Maybe you buy your employer or your boss, they want to retire. We do that a lot. And a big part of that is working very closely with an accountant. So I'm going to introduce John Siebert with Siebert and Reynolds, who we work with well, particularly in that transition from employee to owner, because you need a good accountant in your corner before that, but particularly during that transaction. And John is great to work with. So I'll pass it off to you now, John.
Thank you very much, Chad. So I'm John Siebert with Siebert and Reynolds CPAs. We are a CPA firm. Our physical location is in Pickerington, Ohio, with virtual offices at Polaris and Dublin. We have clients, though, located not just in Central Ohio, but throughout the state and the region. So we have clients outside of Ohio as well. Our primary focus is working with clients in the dental space. So that allows us to bring a book of knowledge to the table beyond just the normal tax compliance. We're not a CPA firm that you're just going to come to and march every year to get your taxes done. We want to work with you from the day you graduate until you're ready to retire and sell your practice. So as a new dentist coming out of school, if you're looking to acquire a practice, we want to be able to work with you to help you do your due diligence, make sure that the target that you're looking at is fairly valued, that you'll be able to support the debt and appropriately cash flows, have a nice standard of living as you ease into owning a practice. If you're looking to start a practice from scratch, we would work with you to help put together a good, solid business plan so that you know what you're getting into, hopefully, and how to be successful from day one. As we get close to opening the doors, we're going to work with you to make sure that your accounting systems are in place, that you've got certain partners already lined up to work with, like Lori with Apex Payroll, Jason to help with our 401k or simple plans. As we go through the year, we want to sit down with you periodically so we can do not just financial statements for you, but tax projections, benchmarking and analysis to try and help you make sure we're managing the practice properly. As the practice grows and we have more income to plan around, then we do strategic longer-term tax planning, the goal of which is to minimize what you're sending to the government, keep as much of your money in your pocket as possible. As I said, we want to be the hub of the wheel. When you have someone that you need that works in the dental space that you're not sure, you come to us and we're going to point you in the right direction. That said, I'm going to turn things over at this point to Scott Mueller with HR for Health.
Thank you, John, and thanks to the rest of Dental Network Group for this opportunity and participating and attending students here. HR for Health, what do we do? Well, we take all of the guesswork out of how to manage human capital, how to manage your employees. And someday you may make the decision to either purchase a practice or start a practice. And so we're intricate in that process because whether you're purchasing a practice, we'll provide you with an easy way to transition the employees with an employee handbook, job descriptions, all the mandatory onboarding documentation, and very efficient ways to manage all of your HR processes. Whether it's a time clock, benefit tracking for PTO and sick time, or just needing to speak to an HR professional, you'll have your own HR specialist to help navigate you through, which really is most days the least fun part of practice ownership, especially with some of the crazy things that go on in these practices across the country. So take all the guesswork out, like I said, whether you're buying a practice, starting a practice, really essentially kind of the same thing. We're taking all the guesswork out of how ensuring you HR compliance, properly onboarding your team members, and really in providing solutions for onboarding, we're going to help you, number one, properly onboard your employees. But we have shown over the years, get some really great statistics. You actually spend some time properly onboarding your employees, you're more likely to have your team for 3.5 to 4 years. You're 70% more likely to actually retain your employees longer, because you're also eliminating all the guesswork on the employee side as to what are your policies. What's it mean to be tardy in the practice, tracking task completion percentage rate. So it's about risk mitigation when it comes to your employees, setting the proper expectations, and if it's a practice transition, making that transition compliant and super easy. We're a national company. We work really well with Lori McCabe, who you're going to be talking to here in just a moment. She provides an excellent payroll solution. But as far as like all the HR and compliance and actually helping manage processes, we can help you with all of that. So whether it's the handbook itself, a time clock, or benefit tracking. And as I mentioned, just picking up the phone and calling a professional as to how to handle a difficult employee situation. That's HR for Health. Appreciate your time. And with that, Lori, go ahead with Apex.
Thank you, Scott. Congratulations, graduates. My name is Lori McCabe. I'm with Apex Payroll. And up until now, your experience with payroll has likely been as an employee receiving a paycheck from your employer. And I would imagine after graduation, you're going to continue on as an employee working for a dental practice. But at some point down the road, your plans may include owning your own dental practice. And at that point in time, you may decide to start up a dental practice from the ground up or purchase an existing dental practice. And at that time, you're going to have employees. And at that point, HR services, such as what Scott with HR for Health provides, is going to become very important. But also, payroll is going to be a very important aspect of your business, as wages are going to be one of the largest costs of operating your practice. And also, there is a lot of compliance surrounding tax withholding and deposits regarding payroll that you as the employer are ultimately responsible for handling correctly. So partnering with a payroll company, one that specializes in payroll, is really important. That one that also provides a high level of service and care, such as we do at Apex Payroll, to help you establish good practices right from the start, such as establishing your pay period and pay date, but also establishing the required tax accounts for payroll, and other items that may be applicable to your business are going to be really important to give you peace of mind so that you can focus on developing your practice and making a successful business. And one of those aspects of a successful business is going to be, this key is employees. Attracting and retaining talent will be very important. So offering benefits such as health insurance and retirement benefits are going to be very important. And those are payroll deductions that are, need to be handled correctly as well. So as I said, partnering with a full service payroll company is going to be really important, as it is a very specific niche in the accounting world. As I mentioned, the benefits that you offer employees are going to help you retain and attract good employees. And with that, I'd like to introduce Jason Codrea again, who can advise you on those benefits surrounding retirement. options for your employees. So thank you for your time and congratulations again.
Thanks, Lori. And so just as, Lori mentioned, she's dealing with the payroll. One of the important line items on that payroll, hopefully if you're saving and doing the right things, is going to be a 401k deduction or a simple IRA. So saving for retirement. There's all kind of ways to do that. The key is you want to be in control of that. And that's what I help you do. Control your money, have it do the right things for you, give you the best opportunity that we can within everything. So as we're walking through that, when you graduate, typically the main things that people ask me are, how much should I save? Should I pay off my student loans? If I buy a house in the near future, or how do I save to buy a practice? And so those are the main areas that we're focused on when we're going through everything. So when we're doing that, I want to make sure that you know where your money is, what it's doing for you. As you progress into a practice, you might need other things. So after graduation, oftentimes out of our group, I'm one of the first people you're talking to, because you went from living off of student loans and very little money to suddenly I've got this paycheck. What do I do with it? And then after realizing how much you're paying in taxes, then you say, okay, here's what's left. Now, then you pay your student loan bill and you say, I may not have that much yet. So we want to build on that. So living like you're still in dental school is one of the best things you can do for a budget standpoint. So that means when you buy your first house, it doesn't have to be the house. When you buy a new car, if you need a new car, go ahead and get it. You don't want to be rolling up to your first job with one hubcap and rust all over the car if you don't have to. So treat yourself a little bit, but make sure that you're saving, because time is the most important thing when you are investing. So time in the market versus trying to time the market. So essentially what I do with once you graduate, before you graduate, you can actually apply for some of the insurances to protect that income. The disability insurance is one of the biggest things that you will want to have, and very specific to dentistry. Life insurance would come into play if you are married, have kids, own a house, or end up owning a practice. But maybe if you're just single, you might not need life insurance right away. So thinking of those sides, those are starting points of a financial plan, the budgeting and the protection. Then as you have money, then we start investing and finding out, do we pay off student loans based on the interest rate they're at? Do we refinance those? How much do we save for emergencies? Building upon all those things are very important. Typically, I recommend taking that grace period for your student loans and using that money that you would have paid and pay yourself. So then suddenly you have 6 months later, you've had a nest egg and you're also used to making that payment. So you don't wake up one day and suddenly say, now I owe $1,500 or $2,000 a month for this student loan, and you're trying to figure out how to pay on it. And then determining the time frame of that is going to be important as well. So once those things are figured out, then we start figuring out what can you save towards. Is it an IRA or a Roth IRA? Is the employer you have a 401k available? If they do, take advantage of that. Regardless of where you are, you want to make sure you're saving as much as you can. As you finish up, when you decide to start buying a practice, if that's a decision you make, you want to have money available for that. So people ask, when do I set aside money for a practice? When do I set aside money for a home? And oftentimes you'll want to have the home in place before you become owner, so there's not other options where the loan is looked at as now you're a business owner, you need to show 2 years worth of income. And so that's a key factor that Ryan Childress always will bring up on going through that, just to think about in the back of your mind. So which one should you do? Then as you look at the bank, if you're looking for a loan from the bank, typically they want to at least see that you've saved about 10% somewhere that's liquid. You're not needing to use those funds, but that's about what they want to see. So if you saved up $50,000 and you owe $150,000 on your student loans, it would be great to put $50,000 on your student loans and only owe $100,000. But if you have $0 in the bank, a bank does not like that as much as they would. You still owe $150,000 and you still have $50,000 in your bank. So that's one thing to consider along the way as you're going through which thing to do first. And there are different types of loans and special doctor loans that we'll talk about here as we go through things. Then once you're in the practice, you may want to set up a 401k plan for your employees to give them a benefit, for you to save. A lot of ways that you can lower your taxable income while putting money aside. And there's all kind of limits and options that you can do within that. As you get there, we figure that out. So on the business side, moving away from the personal side, the business parts of it, when you own the practice, there's some extra tax deductions you can get by contributing for your employees, some other benefits along the way. If you have a loan, you want to protect that loan. If you have a partner, you want to have a buy-sell agreement, but you want to make sure that buy-sell agreement is funded. So if you and another partner are 50% owners, if one of you were to pass away or become disabled, the other person should be able to buy them out without having to dip into their personal assets, unless you have enough there. So that's one thing you want to make sure that you have in place and taken care of. Then I walk you through all the way up until retiring and figured out how and when to sell the practice, working with other professionals. That's where a lot of the tax and legal side, and this is why we have this team here to consult with each other, make sure we're doing the right things for everybody. As we go through that, then you might be ready to retire. Now, those first few years of retirement are some of the most important to make sure you don't spend all of your money at once. We want that money to last. And then we want to decide, should you take this money out? Is it going to be taxable? Is it going to be tax-free? Is it taxable on gains? Determining what that number is, that's where we kind of go behind the scenes and help you figure out what that number is. Now, sometimes you might get to a point where now I'm retiring, I want to sell this house and buy a new house. Or maybe I just want to buy a second home and be somewhere else. Along the way, we can help with that. And one person that's going to assist on that future idea, but more focused on this talk, is going to be on the first-time home purchase or selling a current home and buying another one, is Ben Hemmert. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ben, and he's going to talk a little bit about just the real estate market, options that you have for that, and what you can do from kind of a financing standpoint to make sure things are in good order. So go ahead, Ben.
Thanks, Jason. My name's Ben Hemmert with HER. So I work in residential real estate here in Columbus and the surrounding areas. So residential real estate, so different from what Mike does there, where he's helping you with the business real estate and the commercial piece of it. So I'm helping you with where you go home and sleep at night, and hopefully it's not the same place Mike's helping you with. So where we couple of things to just kind of keep in mind. Let's see, the one big thing I always tell new people as they're just starting is take your time. It's a big, large purchase. It's a big commitment. If you're moving to a new area, new state, new town, it's not a bad idea to maybe rent for 6 months to a year just to kind of get a little bit better feel for the area and make sure where you actually are purchasing and making an investment in your home is where you want to be and where you can envision yourself for a couple years. So that's one big takeaway, is just take your time. Another thing I tell the dentist to kind of keep in mind is that, one way to do it, or one idea, is to purchase your home close to your practice. So, you're close to work, short commute, you're involved in your area and your community, you sponsor the youth baseball team, the youth soccer team, and you're kind of all in your area, and it's a good, side marketing tool and everything else. That's one way that some dentists approach location and things like that. And I've got other dentists who kind of go the opposite direction, where they really don't want to live where they practice. So, they'll purposely purchase a home, 30, 40, 50 an hour away, just so that, they don't kind of mix. They aren't seeing their patients out at dinner or out at the grocery store or whatever. So that's one thing I ask dentists just to kind of keep in mind, and not that one way is better than the other. It's just something to keep in mind, because it's a different way to live and work type thing. So taking your time, and then location. I can help you in and around the Columbus area in about a 50-mile radius. If you're out of out of my zone or out of state, always feel free to reach out with questions, because I do have a referral source. So if you're moving to Florida or to Virginia, I can make sure that you're getting connected with an experienced agent in those areas as well. So always feel free to reach out with any questions, even if I can't directly help you out here. Always happy to help. To speak briefly on Ryan's part. So Ryan was unable to make it today, but he works for Independent Bank. And similar to what Jason just said there, you want to get with Ryan pretty early on. The biggest thing is just, the timing of buying a home in respect to buying a practice type thing. Usually you do want to buy that home first. They have an awesome program over there at Independent Bank for the dentists. Essentially, you can do 0 down if you choose to, for a 30-year fixed rate. They have great interest rates, just a great program for the doctors there. So it's a great tool that you can utilize. And there are the biggest thing there is it's a fixed rate. A lot of other banks will have semi-similar programs, but they're on ARMs. So to have that 30-year fixed is pretty awesome. And a lot of people are very surprised. You know, again, they look at it differently because you guys are dentists, to that they don't look at that school debt, you know, like they normally would if you're normal person were to just walk into a bank to try to get a loan. It's viewed at a little bit differently because they know your profession and what you're getting into and what's coming down years to come and things like that. So feel free to reach out to Ryan. He's a great resource as well. And he can lend in just about every state as well. So he can help you out even if you're outside of this state and everything else. So that's about all I have, but congratulations on your upcoming graduation here, and I'll send it back to Jason. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you. Yep. Our goal, as always, when we do any of these events, is to be a resource and let you know that you spend a lot of time and money to get your education and to be very specific into dentistry and to have that ability to do things. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of business taught, and you usually will become a business owner. And so you could be the best dentist in the world, the best clinician out there, but if you don't understand business, it's going to be very hard to be successful. So that's our goal, and that's why we have multiple people in our group that all specialize in one specific thing. You know, we mentioned why you don't, you know, ask just a general, you know, attorney to go through your documents. They want to know dentistry. They want to understand that. Your builder, your construction person, you know, the guy that came, your neighbor that came to fix your toilet, just because he could fix your toilet doesn't mean he needs to go build your office. And so you want to make sure you got the right people, the professionals that all know dentistry and understand things. Having a team is very important. And that's why we have our team here. If you have a good person that also works in dentistry that's already part and doesn't need to be part of our team, we are open to working with you. We can have 1 or 2 people in our group work with you. Oftentimes what happens is you'll start working with 1 or 2 members of our group, and then as your life progresses, as your business progresses, we'll say, you know what, it's time, you need to talk to that banker, you need to talk to the attorney, you need to talk to the accountant. Oh, you know, all right, it's time we get the payroll and the HR stuff set up. So we have all those resources. Even if there's somebody not within our group currently, we know all the players out there, we know all the right people. So you come to us, we can help guide you in where that is. So typically, whether it's doing something now or over the next couple of years, I get calls and emails all the time. Hey, I'm a class of 2012, class of 2015. You came and spoke, you did this, you know, I've kept your card, but now I need to know what to do. And oftentimes at the end of that call, I might say, I'm not ready to help you because you need to talk to Chad first. You need to talk to John first. You need to, okay, now it seems like Lori and Scott need to get involved. So let's go ahead and get them involved now. So we work together. It's helpful to have that team, and most of us can work in different states. If there's an issue, we'll talk about it and we'll find a way to come up with a solution for you. So as always, we're here as a resource. Please reach out if you have questions. This was recorded, so we are able to share it with everybody else. So we will send it to the rest of your class for anybody else that was not able to be on here. So let them know, short, sweet. We're just here to help talk through everything. And when the time comes, let us know. Just don't forget our site. You can look up the Dental Network Group and look for all of us. So we'll stick around if anybody has a specific question or two. Even if you don't know who it's guided to, we'll just kind of wait a few moments and allow you to unmute yourself and speak up, and you can just answer, and we'll answer your question on who the right person is.